Four Knights of the Apocalypse chapter 176 is officially out, and this was another fantastic chapter, giving us a bit more into Balin, his history, why he decided to stay after winning the championship in the previous festival the year prior, as well as showing us just how tough of a contestant he is. Also, sorry for my voice, I'm a little congested right now, my throat's kind of weird. So try and, tolerate it, I guess, thank you very much. But we get the Howzer versus Balin fight, and things are going in a very interesting direction, and personally, I do think Howzer will probably lose this one unless he pulls something out of his butt, but the fight itself is really interesting and really cool to read through, so this will probably be a relatively short video, so I look forward to jumping into things to really break things down. Before we jump into the video, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. And if you want me to see me talk about a bunch of other manga other than Four Knights of the Apocalypse, go check out my manga podcast, Shonen Pulse, on the Panel Focus YouTube channel, link in the description and up top, where me, Yatogami, and Nox talk about 9 different manga series from 3 different magazines. It is a lot of fun, and I think you guys would really enjoy it. And also, if you haven't already, I made a second channel called GW Comics, where I'm going to be talking about Marvel and DC and other comic books on a relatively weekly or bi-weekly basis, depending on what I have put out and ready for you guys as well as individual videos. It's a lot of fun, and it's a passion project for me, so I would really appreciate if you go over there and subscribe, and help the channel grow little by little, and help me make more content on the things that I enjoy. Now then, let's get right into the chapter. Chapter 176 of Four Knights of the Apocalypse, aptly titled, Howzer vs. Balin. And the cover image is Howzer coaching a young Donnie and Edlin when they were, I would say, maybe 6-7 years old at the time, and trying to drill in some sort of techniques while they're younger. Honestly, pretty nice, pretty wholesome, especially what we've learned back during the Cant arc with the whole Ancient Dragon, all that stuff going on. And it's honestly really nice and wholesome, and I like seeing a bit more of Howzer. On with the action. The chapter starts off directly after the clash from the previous chapter between Howzer and Balin. As their blades rebound from the blows striking each other, they continue to parry and slice at one another, getting the crowd in a frenzy, as this is a heavyweight fight for the ages. But Edlin is saying that nobody should really think that this is a close match. He's very confident in his teacher. As he says, no one can take on an ancient dragon, but he beat one single-handedly. And essentially, in this universe, ancient dragons are relatively powerful, especially amongst fighting regular humans with magic power. So the fact that Howzer was able to be one so easily shows how strong he is in comparison to many, many holy knights and humans in general. And as their clash puts some distance between them, we get a double-page spread as Howzer plunges his sword into the ground and says, Super Cyclone. And in this awesome giant panel, we see the cyclone of Howzer's tornado begin to whirl around him and engulf Balin, saying that this is just like the tornado that was occurring during the Battle Royale. Howzer says to Balin, sorry, but I can't afford to lose in round 1, not as a captain of Leonis' Holy Knights. But then, something unthinkable to Howzer happens. Balin begins to step out of his cyclone, and then makes a giant slash to try and hit Howzer. But in that instance, Howzer manages to dodge at the last minute. But something even more incredible happens just from Balin swinging his sword. As Donnie and Edlin are in disbelief over the fact that the move that Howzer used to one-shot a dragon was a seemingly nothing to Balin, we cut to see that Balin actually cut right through the tornado with a single swipe, seemingly without any source of magic behind it from what we can see. So it looks like that just Balin's sheer arm strength was able to just slice through a freaking tornado. That's already a crazy thing to really consider. As we're witnessing this, Gareth actually shows up saying, that guy could never beat him. I know because I fought him at the previous festival. As the announcer says, this is the power of Balin, the last winner. Not a scratch after facing up to that storm. And as he's standing in front of Howzer, Howzer does nothing but laugh, saying, now this is a festival. With Balin seemingly starting to enjoy himself, smirking to Howzer. And Donnie off in the corner saying, don't blow it, uncle. Essentially trying to make sure that Howzer doesn't make the same mistake that he does, but Howzer's not going to do that. Doesn't have that big of a head anymore. Howzer pulls back his sword, saying, let's get a little more flashy then, as a bunch of air spirals around him as he says, tandem whirl shock, launching a barrage of tornado cyclone spears right at Balin, causing a massive gust and explosion. As we all end up seeing the aftermath of this, Gawain and even Howzer basically whistling and kind of being impressed at everyone in disbelief. Balin is seemingly unharmed from this assault, with Gareth saying, "I don't recall ever seeing that man take any damage." The power behind his sword moves, his ability to gauge his foe's moves and skills, he's just far too tricky, can't you see? As Gareth goes on to say, if he had a weakness, getting everybody in anticipation over maybe he does have a weakness, Gareth just leads up with, "Then I don't know it." I just love that this is a comedic moment to break a bit of the tension. It wasn't really warranted. I don't think we needed it, but hey, it's a funny bit, and I don't mind it. And Percival actually ends up asking, "Hey, is this you trying to give me advice?" As Gareth says, "You're the one who made all those promises. If we're going to leave this cauldron together, you kind of have to win for me." As Percival just ends up laughing with glee, with Ananazians looking with a kind of, what's going on here type of look. Because remember, previously, Percival essentially tried to kill this man in a way that he knew that he wouldn't die instantly, just enough for him to win the match without really using too much of his power. And how he reacted to it afterwards was very disturbing. So how things have just quickly changed is kind of definitely on the radar for everybody. And Ananazians are definitely very much kind of concerned over this. And so far, Gareth doesn't seem to, I don't know, shocked or terrified of Percival over the fact that he just pointed at him and just almost killed him with a look. So, that might be something later. I don't know. We'll just have to move on and see what happens. Balin then lunges forward, seemingly backwards on his back, to swing up another slice at Howzer. Howzer notices this and then manages to parry it as Balin was going for his lower half. Which, honestly, really cool and quick reaction from Howzer to block that blow, seemingly in an instant, as that did catch him by surprise. However, the force from Balin's swing launches Howzer in the air, and Howzer is spinning from the recoil, surprising even Howzer with all that power. Once he gets back on the ground, he tries to launch another World Shock at Balin, which Balin this time ends up dodging, as he says, "Your magic force is all just a trick," with Howzer responding saying, "If it won't work on you, you can just taste this instead. You'll regret making that leap." And with that, Howzer jumps straight into the air, to the surprise of Beltrup and the announcer. But it's then we get a flashback to last year's tournament after Balin wins, as Beltrup is confused, saying, "You seek neither to leave the cauldron nor accept my reward for winning." But Balin says, "No, and I have no desire to serve you as your lapdog either. I just want to fight the strong. Someone to bring me to greater heights." Beltrup thinks about this for a second and then asks, "You seek to shame me in public then? What if I told you I'd execute you right here?" And this is when Balin gives a death glare at Beltrup saying, "Then I invite you to try." Basically stunning the entire audience and actually amusing Beltrup to the point of him just laughing, saying, "I like you, truly. You are battle incarnate. If you ever change your mind, I'll gladly hear you." As Balin says, "Not likely." Walking away from Beltrup, he says, "I have a feeling I'll fight a worthy foe before too long. Someone who may alter my whole life." And this is really interesting because Balin, despite winning the whole thing, didn't want his wish granted, didn't want to lead the cauldron, didn't want to work under Beltrup. He just wanted to fight somebody strong enough to give him a thrill for the fight. Somebody that will get his heart racing. And that is interesting. He is seemingly somebody that lives for combat, for the fight, and I'm curious to see how this is going to play out because, heck, the previous chapter showed that he was interested in the fight with Gawain, saying that this got his heart to race. So from what we're seeing right now, Balin might not even be fully committing. Heck, while he did have a bit of fun with Howzer at the start, he realized that Howzer's magic power was mostly tricks to him and wasn't really affecting him at all. So I'm curious to see where this is going to lead and where Balin got this mentality if we dive deeper into him and if he does end up having a wider role in the story. But it's then we cut back to the present as we see that Howzer has pierced Balin in the chest after leaping up into the air, as this seemingly could be a death blow. As everyone is shocked to see this, with Donnie and Edlin smiling in anticipation. As Howzer says, "Don't worry, I'll have my friend heal you shortly," obviously referring to Percival, but Balin then says, "How kind of you," as he grabs Howzer's sword, as Howzer's wondering how he can be okay. But after grabbing Howzer's sword while in midair, he flings it off of him, knocking Howzer to the ground, as this shocks Gawain and Howzer, as in the final page of the chapter, we see Balin standing tall, with not even a scratch on him or even an injury from Howzer's blade. As Gawain says at the end, is he impervious to all kinds of attacks? Ending the chapter. So this fight was really fun, this was really quick, and we got a bit more of Balin and what he was seemingly wanting to do in the tournament and his goal for entering and why he chose not to stay. We got some really cool fight choreography, and we got to see Howzer in action, and it was all just a really fun, enjoyable chapter. But the way Balin has been introduced as just sheer power and battle incarnate, not affected seemingly by any of Howzer's blade attacks or his magical abilities, shows that he is definitely a force to be reckoned with, and he is definitely probably going to be a major challenge for Gawain, because if he can't be beat by physical blows or specific magical attacks, this could lead to Gawain truly needing to actually work out something different, to grow in the middle of the fight or come up with a trick to actually injure Balin or discover his weakness that nobody has discovered before. So I look very forward to that fight. But I do have one prediction. This fight is definitely going to end in the next chapter. So what I think is going to happen is at the very end of the fight, Howzer will pull out all the stops, and perhaps, even if he loses, even when he loses, he'll manage to deal a single scratch on Balin, and perhaps to Gawain viewing the fight very closely, she might be able to figure something out or get an inkling as to how to pierce Balin's defenses and actually injure him, which would be very cool to see. And then after that, after Howzer's whole fight, we'll end up getting Tristan's fight against Gian, and then Isolde's fight against Pelio to round out Block B. So yeah, this tournament is doing very well. I'm very hyped for the rest of the fights. Nakaba is doing an incredible job at building up these fights and characters, and making us look forward to what to see next. But that's really it for this chapter of Horns of the Apocalypse. Not too much for me to truly dig deep into, at least not at the moment. But what do you guys think of this chapter? What do you feel about Balin and how he's seemingly almost unbeatable or invincible? And how do you think this fight is going to pan out? And how will Balin versus Gawain turn out with this new information? Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. And with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.